After 11 years, 74 adventures, and 3 incarnations of the Doctor, Tom Baker steps into the spotlight to carry the torch for Britain's most beloved science fiction series. But how does Robot navigate the handover from one Doctor to the next? Let's take a look and see. Robot marks the beginning of Tom Baker's unprecedented 7-year tenure as the Doctor, originally broadcast in 4 parts between December 1974 and January 1975. The story serves as a pivotal bridge between eras, ushering viewers from the suave 70s action-packed days of Jon Pertwee into the eccentric, unpredictable world of Baker's 4th Doctor. This is the final story produced by Barry Letts, who oversaw nearly the entire Jon Pertwee run, with the exception of Spearhead from Space. His legacy looms large in Doctor Who history. Not only did he shape the tone and direction of the show throughout the early 70s, but he also made 2 of its most important casting decisions, bringing both Elizabeth Sladen and Tom Baker into the fold. Robot doesn't just bear the unmistakable imprint of Barry Letts. It's also shaped by the steady hand of longtime script editor Terrance Dicks. His Doctor Who credentials are equally formidable, spanning a vast catalog of stories where he served as script editor. Dicks brought a deep understanding of the show's ethos, and his involvement here ensures that Robot feels both familiar and foundational. They say things come in threes, and when it comes to Robot, you can't talk about Barry Letts and Terrance Dicks without also tipping your hat to Dudley Simpson. Simpson's music is one of the key ingredients in why 1970s Doctor Who feels so comfortable. His scores don't demand attention. Instead, they quietly weave themselves into the fabric of each story. You might not always notice it, but it's doing exactly what great incidental music should do, deepening the atmosphere and providing the right musical cues. Episode 1 starts off with the Doctor's regeneration. In the last Jon Pertwee story, Planet of Spiders, the Doctor sacrifices himself to defeat a giant spider known as the Great One, who is hell-bent on taking over the universe or something. The regeneration is standard fare for the series at this point, from looking out of place in his previous incarnation's clothing, to making jokes about his appearance and behaving erratically, and finally a montage of trying on ridiculous outfits until we land on the 4th Doctor's iconic style. The hat, the scarf, the overall vagabond appearance that so aptly lends itself to this incarnation of the Doctor. Early on in the story, the robot breaks into the Ministry of Defense, kills a guy, and steals a folder labeled Top Secret. I wonder what that could be. Later on, the robot breaks into another facility, despite the advanced security of this flimsy board and some poor guy who just wanted to read his newspaper. The Doctor then explains that the stuff that's been stolen are the plans for a disintegrator gun and the necessary control circuitry, with the Brigadier calling out that the last component needed to complete the weapon is a focusing generator. Guess what's in this box? Guess who kills a guy and steals it? Next up on our robot's tour of places to kill people and steal stuff from is Cabinet Minister Joseph Chambers' house, where, you guessed it, the robot kills Chambers and uses the newly assembled disintegrator gun to disintegrate the door on his safe. So it all comes into focus. All the stealing and killing so far was just to get the stuff to make the disintegrator gun, so we can break into this safe. Must be something pretty juicy inside. The Brigadier then explains that for some really convoluted, stupid reason, the nuclear codes for Russia, China, and America were all in that safe. So let me get this straight. Our kleptomaniac murder robot now has the nuclear launch codes for Russia, China, and America. And they were all kept in this guy's safe. In his house. Also, here's a thought. Nobody noticed this giant-ass robot running around killing people and stealing stuff? I mean, he's hard to miss. There are 2 separate threads weaving in and out of all these robot heists and hit jobs. One is with Sarah off doing some detective work, and the other is with the boys off having their own hand at it. Sarah is mostly on her own in this story, playing her role as a journalist/detective, and generally barging in where she's not wanted. When visiting Think Tank with an official pass the Brigadier issued her, she barges in this door clearly marked positively no admittance. Maybe they should, I don't know, lock the door? Later, she goes and annoys Professor Kettlewell, the creator of the robot, who clearly doesn't want to talk to her.
I'm afraid I can't help you, Miss Smith. I don't know why you came to me.
Sarah then sneaks back into Think Tank through the same door. Seriously, lock the damn door. The Doctor, Harry, and the Brigadier spend much of the story playing Sherlock Holmes, Harry slipping comfortably into the role of Watson, and the Brigadier looking grumpy most of the time. Perhaps he has the clairvoyance to know that in the next 7 years we'll only see the Brigadier and Unit one more time in the story Terror of the Zygons. All of the robots killing and stealing are done at the hand of Think Tank's director Hilda Winters and her assistant Arnold Jellicoe. And if Think Tank doesn't work out for them, they always have a future as models for the JCPenney catalog. Professor Kettlewell once ran the robotics section at Think Tank and developed the experimental prototype robot K1, which Think Tank is now using to do their bidding to steal the nuclear launch codes. At one point, the robot visits Kettlewell, and we get this great scene where the robot is struggling with the morality of his actions.
I do not understand. Help me.
Let's take a quick moment here to acknowledge the great performance that Edward Burnham gives as Professor Kettlewell. With his mad scientist hair and aloof demeanor, he embodies the role perfectly. In an earlier scene where Sarah first visits the professor, I love that he rummages through papers on his desk until he comes up with a sandwich and takes a bite. It's a nice little detail about his character. Another great scene from this story is at the meeting of the Scientific Reform Society, where Winters does her best Hitler imitation. It's a heck of a performance. In the DVD documentary, Our Friends Electric, the actress who plays Winters had this to say about her performance.
And it was wonderful to be able to let rip. I mean, you really couldn't go over the top. You couldn't go far enough with it. You could just be as outrageous as you wanted. It was great fun.
And she's right. She's a proper baddie in this story. Fast forward a bit, and our villains are now holed up in a bunker with Sarah and Harry held captive, nuclear codes in hand. K1 is sent out to fight off Unit, and the kill counter is about to be back in action. Overall, the special effects in these episodes hold up pretty well for their time, except for this tank right here. Yeah. According to a Google search, a British tank from the 1970s, such as the Chieftain, typically had a crew of 4 men, a commander, a gunner, a loader, and a driver. This crew size was standard for many main battle tanks of that era. So we're going to go with that and increment our kill count by 4. Alright, back to the bunker, where our bad guys, now surrounded by Unit, start a very generous countdown to launch the nuclear missiles. This gives our intrepid heroes more than enough time to wrap this up. Meanwhile, outside the bunker, K1 is doing his best impression of the John Travolta meme from Pulp Fiction, standing around confused and vaguely menacing. It's unintentionally hilarious. Back in the bunker, turns out that countdown wasn't nearly as generous as I made it sound. A flurry of events unfolds, and before long, K1 delivers a fatal blow to Professor Kettlewell. We get another glimpse into K1's tortured psyche. He's not just a walking death machine, he's grappling with the moralities of his action, visibly shaken by what he's being forced to do. The writers sprinkle in these moments of inner conflict, giving K1 a tragic depth that elevates him beyond the usual one-note murder bot. Fast forward some more, and the robot is all big and giant now and has gone full kaiju. The kill count ticks up again, starting with a double grab that turns 2 Unit soldiers into ragdolls. Then this poor guy gets stomped out of existence. Enter the Doctor. He's been MIA this whole time, holed up in a lab cooking up a bucket of anti-robot virus. He rolls in just in time to deliver the payload, dispatching our metal King Kong to the ether. Throughout this story, we catch glimpses of the bohemian quirks that would come to define Tom Baker's iconic take on the Doctor. But it's not until the final moments of this story that we witness the beginning of one of the greatest, if not the greatest, Doctor-companion pairings in the show's history, and it all begins right here in this scene. The writing is on point, and the undeniable chemistry between these two actors is finally given a venue in which to manifest itself. On a deeper level, Sarah's quiet sorrow over K1's destruction offers a poignant counterpoint to the gun-toting soldiers who approach the situation as soldiers should, a defensive tactical necessity. Sarah's response is one of empathy as she bonded with K1 in a near maternal way. In this story, she is the lens through which the morality of killing is examined, even when that killing was both necessary and justified. Robot stands as a solid, well-executed story that does a commendable job of bridging the flamboyant, unit-heavy Pertwee era with what would soon become the most iconic portrayal of the Doctor, and arguably the show's golden age. It gently ushers viewers into a new incarnation with just enough eccentricity to hint at the wild brilliance to come. While it doesn't dazzle or disappoint, Robot comfortably occupies a middle ground, reliable, entertaining, and tonally transitional. It's not a standout classic, but it's far from forgettable. There are certainly worse episodes of Doctor Who. I'm looking at you, Underworld. The story wraps up with Harry, Sarah, and the Doctor taking off in the TARDIS to chase monsters, mysteries, and moments that will define an unforgettable season of Doctor Who. That's all for now. See you next time.